Okay, welcome to the Bears Hall of Discipline today. We are in the study of 1 Samuel, chapter 26. David has been on the run by choice, not from cowardice, but by choice, so that there would not be a civil war in Israel. And he had respect. He had respect for the office of the president. And today he is going to reach out with a hand of mercy. In a place where he had certain victory. And he removed himself from the equation, so to speak. And let his enemy live. Here we go, 1 Samuel chapter 26. And the Ziphites came unto Saul to Gibeah, saying, Doth not David hide himself in the hill of Hachilah, which is before Jeshimon? Then Saul arose and went down to the wilderness of Ziph, having 3,000 chosen men of Israel, and with him to seek David in the wilderness of Ziph. Now, if you're very familiar with the terrain of Israel, I've never been there, but I love maps, and I look at a lot of maps, both the satellite and the ones that have the bumps in it, show you the elevations and so forth. Israel is a very hilly terrain, almost perpetually across the nation, with few rivers, but enough. Lots of caves. Lots of caves. We continue on. So with that as your background, we move on. And Saul pitched in the hill of Hachilah, which is before Jeshimon by the way. But David abode in the wilderness, and he saw that Saul came after him into the wilderness. David therefore sent out spies and understood that Saul was coming in very deed. In other words, he was in hot pursuit. It was like the Revolutionary War here in America. The British were in hot pursuit, but the Americans knew the terrain better, for they had lived there longer. They had set up cabins and fields and homesteads, and they knew the terrain better. And the British came with lots of cannons and troops and militia. And we had the first Tea Party movement, if you will. Now David is here in the wilderness. Saul's in hot pursuit. But David and his men, they know the terrain better. They've been out in the fields and the foxholes fighting. Saul's been kind of camped out and living like a king. So he's a little bit soft. They're on their toes, however. And David arose and came to the place where Saul had pitched, and David beheld the place where Saul lay, and Abner the son of Ner, the captain of his host, and Saul lay in the trench, and the people were pitched around him. So the king they were all sleeping in their low areas, be it they had tents or out under the stars, and the king was in the middle, and all his recon units, his Green Berets, they're all around him in a circle to protect him. Then answered David and said to Ahimelech the Hittite and Abishai the son of Zeruiah, brother to Joab, saying, Who will go down with me to Saul to the camp? And Abishai said, I will go down with thee. So David and Abishai came to the people by night, and behold, Saul lay sleeping within the trench, and a spear stuck in the ground at his side, at his bolster by his water bottle. But Abner and the people lay round about him. Then said Abishai to David, God hath delivered thine enemy into the hand this day. Now therefore let me smite him, I pray thee, with a spear, even to the earth at once, and I will not smite him the second time. This is probably the second or third time even where God has allowed Saul to move into David's hands. And I'm going to tell you in advance, David is going to show him mercy, as he showed him mercy a time or two before. Not that David didn't have in his power or his God-given authority to take Saul's life. Quite frankly, it would have put the division of the country at rest, shall we say. They would have stopped being on the run if David would have taken his enemy. A lot less men would have died. Very possibly Jonathan, Saul's son, would have lived. They would not have gone into battle with the Philistines and Saul and Jonathan and his sons being killed, and many of the people of Israel, many of the warriors, good warriors, died for nothing. And yet, sometimes God has a higher calling, and you have to decide which that is. Sometimes there's a time to reach out in the hand of mercy, despite the cause and effect and results. God has a higher calling sometimes for us. When you do the right thing, and yet the results don't really equate with what you believe they should be after demonstrating mercy or effort or, whatever. But God has a higher calling. His ways are not our ways. And sometimes, yes, sometimes it's a time to reach out and end the enemy. Be done. To put an end to it. Sometimes the gallows have to be used. The firing squad for kidnappers, rapists, murderers. Yeah, those things have to happen. But in this time, David extends his hand of mercy once again. David said to Abishai, destroy him not, for who am I to stretch forth my hand against the Lord's anointed, where I could be free? I'm free. I'm free now. I'm going to extend mercy, and I'm still going to be free, but I could have killed my enemies laying right there. So David and his men were able to sneak into the camp. There was a deep sleep from the Lord upon them, and yet David and his men, they were stealthy. They were like the ultimate stealth fighter. They got into the camp, and everybody didn't even know it. They were on nighty-night time, and the fire watch was sleeping. David said furthermore, as the Lord liveth, the Lord shall smite him on his day, or he shall come to die, and he shall descend into battle and perish. One day his day will come, David said. I don't need to smite him dead. He's the king. I respect the office of the president. God has obviously delivered him to my hands, but I'm going to extend mercy because I'm a lesser man than he is. He's the king. David was a great man. Not perfect. He sinned, That's why Jesus died on the cross. None of us deserve salvation. None of us deserve to read and teach the Bible. But we do so by the grace of God, by the choice we make to accept his mercy and forgiveness, and to order our ways aright when we go astray. So David said, one day, Saul's day is coming. We don't need to rush it. It's going to come. The Lord forbid that I should stretch forth my hand against the Lord's anointed, but I pray thee, take thou now the spear that is at his bolster and the cruse of water, and let us depart. So David took the spear and the cruse of water from Saul's bolster, and they got themselves away, and no man saw it, neither knew it, neither awakened, for there was a deep sleep from the Lord that was fallen upon them. Then David went over to the other side and stood on the top of the hill afar off, a great space being between them. And David cried to the people and to Abner the son of Ner, saying, Answerest thou not, Abner? Then Abner answered and said, Who art thou that thou criest to the king? David said, Do Abner, art not thou a valiant man? And who is like to thee in Israel? Wherefore then hast thou not kept thy lord the king? For there came one of the people in to destroy the king, the Lord. This ruler, this Abner, he was Saul's chief captain, bodyguard, his observer, his counselor militarily, and quite frankly, he was caught asleep. This thing is not good that thou hast done, as the Lord liveth. You are worthy to die, because ye have not kept your master, the Lord's anointed. And now see where the king's spear is, and the cruse of water that was at his bolster. Early up into the time of World War II, you fell asleep at your post. That was a serious offense in the military. Desertion. That was a capital offense. Very serious charge. What Abner did here was a capital offense. He felt he was asleep when he should have been on duty. Now, granted, God had put a deep sleep upon them, and who can fight against that? And I think Saul knew that, and David and his men knew that. And Saul knew David's voice and said, Is this thy voice, my son David? And David said, It is my voice, my lord, O king. And he said, Wherefore doth my lord pursue after his servant? For what have I done, or what evil is in mine hand? Now therefore I pray thee, let my lord the king hear the word of his servant. If the Lord has stirred thee up against me, let him accept an offering. But if they be the children of men, cursed be they before the Lord. For they have driven me out this day from abiding in the inheritance of the Lord, saying, Go serve other gods. Now therefore let not my blood fall to the earth before the face of the Lord. For the king of Israel is come out to seek a flea, as one doth hunt for a partridge in the mountains. Then said Saul, I have sinned. Return, my son David, for I will no more do thee harm. Because my soul was precious in thine eyes this day, behold, I have played the fool, and have erred exceedingly. Now, if Saul would have kept on that momentum, that spiritual momentum, and exercised contrition and repentance and faith, that should be the general order, but he didn't. He was moved by the mercy, but eventually he didn't move to contrition and repentance and faith in God to change. David answered and said, Behold, the king's spear. Let one of the young men come over and fetch it. The Lord render to every man his righteousness and his faithfulness, for the Lord delivered thee into my hand this day, but I would not stretch forth my hand against the Lord's anointed. And behold, as thy life was much set by this day in mine eyes, so let my life be set in the eyes of the Lord, and let him deliver me out of all tribulation. Then Saul said to David, Blessed be thou, my son David. Thou shalt do great things, and also thou shalt still prevail. So David went on his way, and Saul returned to his place. An act of mercy. We don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes we have to reach out and smash. Sometimes we catch somebody breaking into your house or your car, your vehicle. You have the right to smash. But sometimes it's okay to extend mercy and let the Lord move. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes one or the other has to be chosen, and you have to go by it. But David had mercy, as God has mercy on us. God bless you, friends. See you next time.